So, how do you discipline your kids? Are you a spank or no spank parent? In this video, I'm going to tackle the subject of disciplining your children. Stay tuned. This one is probably going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt me. All right. No. Here it comes. No. In 3, 2, Hey guys, Jeremy here. So today I'm talking about discipline. As a pastor, I see all sorts of parenting styles, from real hands-on to real hands-off. I've seen super gentle parents and super loud parents. I've seen helicopter parents who try to control everything, and I've seen parents who barely know what their kid is doing. The whole idea behind this channel is I wanted to create a place for conversation and learning from each other. So if you can't say something nice in the comments, please don't say anything at all. Let's keep our minds open and let's see if we can build stronger families as a result. And if you watch till the end, I'm going to share some of my favorite non-spanking natural consequence ideas so you don't have to think about them in the moment. All right, let's get started. So first I want to share some ideas that pro-spank folks might share. The pros, the cons, and maybe some tips when approaching things that way. Pro-spank people? Really? Yeah, you know, the people who are okay with applying the Board of Education to the seat of knowledge. Go on. Those that are pro-spankers might say that the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. Does it really say that? It actually does. In Proverbs chapter 13:24, it says, he who spares the rod hates his child, but if you love your children, you should discipline them diligently. So, the idea of spanking your kids is actually biblical. And if God says it, I believe it. See, I actually want them to fear spanking. Maybe it'll make them think twice before doing something wrong the next time. Yeah, but they'll probably resent you and harden their hearts against you. Plus, spanking is very similar to abuse. Why would I tell my kids not to hit each other and then punish them by hitting them? See, actually, I believe that there's a very real and practical difference between spanking for discipline and hitting out of anger or frustration. Now we all have a pretty decent idea about how each side feels about spanking. You know, it's a very personal choice. So let me share some tips with you to think about if you plan to discipline your child with spanking. So my first tip is never spank in anger. Give everyone a little time to cool off. Let them know a spanking is coming. Sometimes the anticipation of spanking is actually worse than the spanking itself. Through this process, I want to encourage you still to be intentional and caring. Always explain why you're disciplining them. You could say something like, it's my job as a daddy or a mommy to raise you to be honest, respectful, and clean, etc., whatever. I want you to remember this and think twice before you make a bad decision in the future. Final tip is be aware of whether or not a spanking is actually working. Some kids don't respond to spanking in the least, and a spanking just doesn't cause them to think about their actions. On the flip side, some kids don't need a spanking at all. If you just look at them firmly, they'll straighten right up and make the corrections immediately. No spanking necessary. So make sure that whatever you're doing is actually working. Now, how about some ideas from the other side of the coin, the non-spanking discipline? You mean the ones who just want to coddle their kids into a utopia that doesn't even really exist? No, the ones who value peace in the home instead of violence. Those in favor of the non-spanking method might say something like, I try as much as possible to say yes to my child so that I don't have to discipline them. You see, a household of freedom is a household of peace. So we look for alternative ways to redirect energy instead of constantly having to tell them no. Yeah, wait until you have 4 kids or 5. It's a lot easier than if you only have 1. If I spank them, they'll fear me, and I don't want my child to be afraid of me. I think if they're not a little scared, they'll do whatever they want. Well, I approach discipline much more holistically, not just as a matter of how I punish them, and I just think that's a better way. So those opposed might say, I just think it's not as effective. Discipline should have an appropriate amount of hurt, and when they associate that pain with their actions, they'll learn their lesson and be better off. Also, when kids are really little, they can't make the connections between a conversation about what they did wrong and their actions. They can't sit down and reason. So a spanking on the hand or the bottom can be very effective for helping them to understand right from wrong. All right. So now that we have a decent idea about how both sides feel about not spanking, let's offer some tips as you approach this peaceful parenting style of discipline. 1, there are lots of peaceful parenting communities out there. You can discover new things and you can learn a lot from them. So I'll put a link down in the description and you might find some things interesting and learn some stuff from them. 2, think of natural consequences for their actions. Something like if they can't play nice, they don't get to play. So I'm going to share a list of these at the end. If you think it's a good idea to have a social platform for sharing these parenting ideas, would you mind giving this video a like and maybe a share? It helps out the channel a ton. As well, consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this in the future. As we all learn together from this conversation, I'd like to encourage everyone on both sides. First, don't judge other parents. Assume that they're doing the best that they can because you don't know what they've gone through or what they're going through right now. Next, take time to learn from another perspective. If you're a spanking family, maybe you could also learn some non-spanking peaceful techniques or concepts. If you're a non-spanker, you might learn how to apply the right amount of pressure without making it violent. By definition, discipline involves punishment. One of the most important things that you can do as a parent is to set boundaries that hold. When those boundaries are broken, discipline helps them to be a better person. Remember, you're not their buddy, you're their parent. You got this. All right, as promised, here's a list of some natural consequences that you might like to try instead of spanking. All right, so one time a kid wouldn't let the other kid up the stairs. They're kind of walking real slow and being all mean. So I made them walk up and down the staircase 10 times. They learned their lesson. Maybe if they use an outside voice in the house, you might like to make them go outside, where outside voices are appropriate. Maybe if they can't handle using their cell phone responsibly, they might lose the privilege of using it at all. Or how about if they can't be nice to their sibling, they don't get to be in the same room as their sibling and they have to go to their own room or sit in a corner in another room of the house. How about if they argue about sitting in a spot on the couch? They can both sit on the floor. You can both sit on the floor. Or if they argue about who gets to choose the next show on Netflix, neither one of them get to watch a show. TV goes off and you both go outside to play, or you're better off anyway. Or if you fight over any toy, blanket, pillow, or anything that you're using, and I have to step in, then nobody gets it. Or this one's a good one. If you leave the door open, make them walk back and shut it, even if it's actually more convenient for you to shut it yourself. It teaches them to shut the door. Or if you get a bad report for being disrespectful to a teacher, have them write the teacher an apology note, maybe even make them pay for a card from the store. The idea is to promote real-life consequences for the offenses, not just the default of go to your room, or that's a spanking, or you lose your iPad. Leave a comment below with your favorite natural consequence idea. Maybe we can all learn together. So I hope this creates a good place for all of us to learn how to be better parents, build stronger families together. Until the next time, take care of your teeth. They're with you forever.